someone else chair, and so the duty falls to me, most experienced council member.
To be clear, they are joining remotely,
They
so
are
they
here,
are online.
yes, they are still here, but their ability to call on people would be very difficult. So, yes, happy to chair. Welcome everyone to our March 10th, 2026 City Council Work Session meeting. Our meetings are public, and you're welcome to join us in person or by watching from the council's agenda page, Zoom, or YouTube. We hope you'll continue to join us in whatever way you feel most comfortable. This is a work session during which there is no public comment. Please join us tonight at our 7 p.m. formal meeting to share your comments with us. Of course, we welcome your feedback at any time via mail, via email at council.comments@slc.gov, or via our 24-hour comment line, 801-535-7654. Comments we receive on agenda topics are shared with the full council and posted on our website, slc.gov/council. The first item on our agenda is an informational briefing on public art allocation for fiscal year 2020. And for this, we have Sylvia Richards, Council Policy Analyst, Felicia Baca, Arts Division Director, and Renato Olmedo Gonzalez, Program Manager for the Arts Council. Hey, glad to have you. Welcome. Take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As a reminder, in 2025, the council members met with members of the administration to discuss adding more public art in the city. And during Budget Amendment number 5 discussions, a legislative intent was created which details the costs and funding of 7 smaller art projects, and each council district will receive $2,000. The administration has identified 3 options for council consideration, and if possible, the administration prefers that the council adopt a single option for all 7 districts. And with that, I'd like to turn the time over to Felicia and Renato.
Hi. Loud. We appreciate the council's interest in creating small district-based artworks and placemaking opportunities, and we've prepared 3 high-level frameworks that could be implemented while allowing for public-private partnerships and community involvement. Our goal today is to share these ideas and get your guidance on how council members would like to provide district input as the program moves forward. And we also want to note that our work centers on engaging artists to do what they do best. So once artists are brought into the process, their ideas will naturally help shape the final structure and direction of these projects. So these are concepts intended as high-level sketches for your feedback. And I'll let Renato discuss the 3 possibilities.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Council, for having us here. Before I begin, I would like to say happy birthday to Felicia.
Yay!
Thanks.
My name is Renato Olmedo Gonzalez, and I'm the Arts Council Public Art Program Manager, where I have the honor of leading the city's public art program. We work with artists, communities, and city departments to implement projects throughout Salt Lake City. Before I go into detail, I would like to tell you about our newest artwork that you can see just down the street. It's called Strut, and it's a nearly 2,000-foot long public artwork that is currently being finalized on the 400 South Viaduct Trail between 500 West and 765 West. It is probably the longest artwork in Utah. This was created by Harad Drugan, and we embedded an artist into an infrastructure project, so we're super excited about it. As Felicia mentioned, you directed the Arts Council to develop ideas for small district-based arts projects using the $2,000 allocated to each district, with the intention that these projects include community engagement, transparency, and opportunities for public-private partnerships. We began this process by researching 7 potential project models and narrowed these down to 3. Based on feasibility, speed of implementation, and the potential for meaningful community involvement. Today, we're presenting these at a very high level, and we're seeking clarity and consensus from Council on which direction you would like to see us pursue, so we can move forward with developing the program in more detail. I'll briefly walk through each option. The first option will be a partnership with the Salt Lake City Public Library System and the branches across each of the districts. They will host a temporary artist residency. In this model, one artist will work across districts and collaborate with library staff, patrons, and community members to develop temporary artworks such as window vinyl, sidewalk interventions, installation-based work, art-making workshops or sessions, interior panel, like really the possibilities are endless, and they will be process-based. What makes this option compelling to us is that it allows the project to be highly responsive to community voices. The artists will spend time engaging directly with residents, library users, and the final artwork or artistic experience would emerge from these conversations. Depending on how the artist develops the project, it could result in one larger installation informed by multiple districts and that engagement, or several smaller interventions or experiences across different branches. Libraries are also important civic gathering centers, which makes them a natural place for community-centered art engagement. The second option will focus on temporary placemaking through painted intersection or sidewalk artworks. In this model, one artist will design and implement a temporary artwork across all 7 districts, working with our partners in transportation and streets to identify the appropriate locations. Each district will receive one prominent intersection or sidewalk site, and the artwork will remain in place for a period of 6 months, but up to a year. This option offers very immediate and highly visible impact, transforming everyday infrastructure into a bold and engagement artwork. There's also potential in this model for community participation, including design workshops or public paint days. The third and last option focuses on community storytelling through temporary panels, banners, etc. In this model, artists would collaborate with residents to produce visual or narrative artworks, such as portraits, poetry, photography, or local history that could be displayed at places like community centers, libraries, parks, fences, small business corridors, businesses, etc. One approach we are considering is structuring this as a small re-granting program where RCOs, recognized community organizations, or other local partners, such as small businesses, could apply for support to implement the project in their neighborhood. In that case, the Arts Council will facilitate the program, but the artwork itself will be implemented by community partners. This approach could allow projects to feel very authentic to each neighborhood and may also be the fastest to implement. All 3 options were developed to align with the guidance you provided, particularly around community participation, district-based impact, and flexible implementation. At this stage, like I said at the beginning, the ideas are intentionally high level because once artists, like Felicia said, are brought into the process, their ideas will naturally help shape the final structure of the project. What will be most helpful from you today is guidance on which one of these proposals resonates most so that we can move forward and put a more detailed implementation plan. We're happy to answer any questions.
Councilmember Young?
You have done such an incredible job. I love them all. And because I honestly think that all 3 of them would be a value add related to just things I've heard in our community, I would defer to the other council members if there's a preference, and I'm happy to support it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Lopez Chavez.
Thank you, and thank you for putting the time into this. I know that last year when Councilmember Puyi and I made the legislative intent, it was a huge focus, especially on public-private partnerships. Can you answer for me? I just want to understand, because it's with our libraries, do we have to enter into an agreement with them? Is there, like, what makes it a public-private partnership?
I think one of the ways that we were kind of approaching this is the possibility that there could be private funding partners, that while the library is like another entity that's quasi-city or outside the city, I think there's still possibility to have external support depending on the direction of the program. So we interpreted private to manifest in many ways, whether in option 3 it's with a small business or an entity like that. We may have an option to privately supplement this funding as well.
That's helpful. I think the biggest thing was this was an exercise for public-private partnerships. So I'd be more in favor towards 1 and 3, just because it has that exercise in place, and I think that's really what the attempt was.
You said
1 or 3, excuse me.
okay.
Okay.
Great.
Any other questions or feedback? Councilmember Dugan.
I'm kind of like with Councilmember Young on that. You know, you option 1 sounded great. Oh, option 2 sounds great. Oh, option 3 sounds great. And then, you know, I read it, and then you guys described it, and it's like, okay, which one was great? Well, it was option 3 because that was the last one I heard. But if I go back to the first, it would be option 1. So I really appreciate it all, and I really like the idea of engaging the public, engaging the community for their distinct flavor for the art. But since I'm a lover of art but not an artist, I would defer to some of the more artistic members of the council on it. I'm sorry, I'm not much help at all.
That's helpful.
Councilmember Pui.
Yes, I think the explanations helped. You know, versus reading it. To me, this was as much of an exercise to bring more art to the community, as an exercise to see the division implement more creative ways of bringing art to the community. So ultimately, it seems to the division has met my expectations and the ability to adapt and to seek feedback and actually implement it. So that's very encouraging to me. I was leaning towards 1 originally. And now I'm also debating about 3, since the community already might have some predetermined processes and that, you know, might actually get this funding allocated faster, and it might actually probably release the division from a lot of the work, which, you know, it's also hard to balance a lot of work for the smaller budget that we are talking about here. So if I had to rank them, I will probably now have changed since the presentation. If I have to rank them in order, I will say 3 and then 1. Either or, no both.
Thank you.
Anyone else? I'm having a hard time pulling mine up. So can you walk us through the options again?
Just titles, yeah.
Yeah, sure thing. So at a very high level, the first one is a program for artist residency in Salt Lake City Public Library branches. Second one will be temporary intersection, so sidewalks, you know, a 4-way sidewalk, 1 in each district. The third one, it will be a small re-granting program to RCOs or small businesses or community partners for them to implement community panels or banners or some form of art making of the sort.
Well, now I feel like I'm deciding for everyone.
It's your favorite thing to do, Chris.
That's true.
Chris,
I'm
without preference either, so you are. Go ahead. I've known.
Well, and it sounds like of all the council members who don't have opinions, I think there is a council member who suggested that 3 was their favorite, and I think Alejandro seconded that. It sounded like. So I don't know if that's like if you just want to straw poll that.
I'm kind of teetering between 1 and 3. So if more people like 3, then I'm happy to go with that, and maybe, yeah.
Cool.
But
So
I'll look
do we
for a
need
straw poll.
Yeah, straw poll.
Can I ask, does every district have to be the same? Like, I know the Harvey Milk Boulevard people have been looking for that crosswalk for how many CIP applications now? Like, seems like a little bit of a missed opportunity to not offer it at least to them. Or do we need to, just for like Arts Council sanity's sake, choose one?
Well, they want something permanent.
Yeah, this definitely would be funding for more temporary kind of works because of
Okay.
the dollar amount and just being sort of fiscally responsible given the dollar amount and implementation, but we're happy to take direction.
Okay, well, anyone can make a straw poll here?
So based off that answer, it would help me, before I make the motion, Councilmember Petro, would District 1 like to have option 2? Is that what you stated?
No, not at all. I was just worried about historical CIPs that might be satisfied by that, but it doesn't sound like that's the case here.
Got it. Okay. In that case, I'll make a motion to straw poll, a straw poll to support option number 3, the SLC Stories community art banners and panels installation.
Okay, that's the straw poll. Anyone have any questions? Anyone want to speak any more to this? Okay, let's go ahead, show your feelings. All right, it looks unanimous? Okay, yes, so all in favor for option 3.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then the last thing I just want to say is we know that our CIP projects can often be limited to jurisdiction for CIP funding and CRA funding, but one of the exciting things about our Bloomberg Philanthropies project, the Wake the Great Salt Lake project, is that it's culminating, as you all know, and begins on the 25th and 26th of March. And that was a project where we were able to implement temporary public art projects in all 7 city council districts, and we're really proud of that, and we hope you can come celebrate us in the public soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Happy
Thanks.
birthday. I need help. I don't even know why this is here. And then this is like frozen. So let me just, yeah, I'm gonna go off the paper. Okay, so agenda item number 2 is an ordinance for a zoning map amendment at approximately 256 East, 300 South. Thank you.
This is a proposal to amend the zoning map for the property you mentioned from its current MU8 or mixed-use zoning to D1 or Central Business District. The current proposal is to construct an approximately 180-foot hotel on the site. The applicant is with us and would appreciate the opportunity to address the council, and I'll turn it over to Aaron and Chrissy.
Good afternoon, council members, or is it evening? 5 o'clock. So this, let's go to the next slide. Like Brian said, this is a request to rezone from MU8 to D1. One thing to note is that when this came to the Planning Commission, it was zoned RMU, and that was changed to MU8 during the commercial and mixed-use consolidation that kind of reorganized the commercial mixed-use zones. They're similar, but we'll talk about that as we get there. At that Planning Commission meeting, the Commission forwarded a denial recommendation to the City Council. Next slide, please. Okay, you can see here it's located mid-block, 300 South, between 2nd and 3rd East. Properties at 300 South tend to be shorter, and 300 East tend to be shorter. 200 East is the dividing line between downtown and the East downtown neighborhood, and buildings tend to slope downwards from there. Buildings are zoned D1 facing 200 East, and then to MU8 and MU11 farther up the block to the east. Next slide, please. Just some context, this is a parking lot. It is surrounded by multiple uses. Next slide. Keep going. There is Sampson and Altadena apartments that were recently listed on the local register to the east, and then a mixed-use commercial building with mostly exercise or fitness focused businesses. Keep going, next slide. And you can see there that recently finished tower that I'm forgetting the name of, that was zone D1 there, and that's facing 200 East. Next slide. Sampson and Altadena. Next slide. All right, so what would this change? In the MU8 district, the max height is 90 feet. That is through design review. Otherwise, it is 75 feet. In the D1 district, the minimum height is 100 feet, and there is no maximum. For lot standards, there are no setbacks in the D1. There are minimal setbacks in the MU8. There's no open space requirement either in the D1. Design standards are a little stricter in the D1 district. It has what's called an enhanced active ground floor use. In our design standards, there are active ground floor uses and enhanced ground floor uses. Active can be residential and things that are generally a little more active. Enhanced requires a commercial business, something that brings eyes to the street. Requires more durable exterior materials, more windows, and more reflective glass. Next slide, please. So the proposal, staff found that does not really comply with most general plans. I wrote master plan, but it is general plan now. So in Plan Salt Lake, there is that expectation of growth, but most of the plans point to diluting the dominance of downtown and really changing that transition from downtown to other neighborhoods to the east and to the north. Central Community also says the same thing. The downtown plan draws a hard boundary at 200 East for those central business district zones, which includes the D1 district. Next slide, please. So yeah, the recommendation is to deny the request. And we have some rationale for that recommendation if we go to the next slide. The first is, it's outside of that established downtown area. 200 East is that border that's laid out in multiple plans. It disrupts the transition from the central business district to smaller neighborhoods. It dilutes downtown's visual interest. That 100-foot minimum height really impacts the neighborhood, especially with those historic buildings to the east. Existing utilities do not support the D1 development. There is no stormwater on the south side of 300 South. And water and sewer would likely need to be upgraded as well. And then the proposed community benefit that the applicant will bring and has modified a bit. At the time, roughly a third of the single floor would have been a commercial use, and staff did not find that proportional to the unlimited height requested through this zoning amendment request. And I understand after the PC meeting, the applicant met with council members in small group meetings to negotiate the community benefit and the max building height through a development agreement, but the applicant can speak more to that. And that's next slide's into my presentation.
Okay. Was that the last slide?
That was.
Sorry, I thought you had one more.
That's it.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
May I?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Could we pull up, do we have an image of the application? Because I think there was a discrepancy in what was in the application versus the height that was requested.
Oh, yes. I don't have the application here. There was a note of like 225 feet versus the 185-foot height.
Because I know in the application, the image that was shown doesn't seem to scale.
Oh, yeah. I don't have that image in the presentation, but it is in the staff administrative staff report.
I just want to make the comments because it had been a while since I had met with the applicants, but I did meet with them and wanted to just mention again, in terms of MU8, which we just had our upzone, that D1 is significantly different. In fact, it would double the size. So MU8, where it's at, you can build up to 90 feet. The applicant is requesting no higher, no taller density or height larger than 225 feet, if I'm not mistaken. And so in theory, we could more than double the height of this building next to the Sampson Altadena, next to other participating buildings. So at this point, D1, I would not be in favor of rezoning to that. I think, unfortunately, it doesn't provide that space that it needs to have a proper setback and side back in place to support the surrounding development. So it would not have my support.
believe the applicant also wanted a moment to speak, if possible.
Oh, yes, go ahead. Are they here or, okay, hi, come on up. If you would go ahead and have a seat and just make sure that microphone is on. Go ahead and state your name, and then you get 5 minutes for your presentation.
I am Sean Wade.
Okay, go ahead and start right now.
I had a thing, I don't know if I should go into this that I have prepared or if I should rebut what has been said. Let me just start off with this. In January of 1991, arson claimed my parents' historic apartment building at 256 East, 3rd South. My father worked to rebuild, but was met with many roadblocks. He was persistent for many years in trying to come up with a workable solution. It has since become a parking lot as a temporary stopgap. We have considered all reasonable uses that could go on this lot. I mean, we have looked at apartments, commercial, office buildings of condominiums, and the hotel proposed, it makes most financial sense. I mean, we're not looking for the most bang for the buck, we're looking for it to just pencil. We started conversations with the city in 2023 to collaborate on what might be the highest and best use for this property. Along with the collaboration with other parties in the development and building industries, we received positive feedback from 3 hotel chains. So in June of 2023, we proposed an upscale luxury hotel to the Salt Lake City Design Review team. The hotel concept was received by the assigned city DRT personnel very positively. The recommendations and guidance has led us to this point in requesting a zoning amendment to D1. We feel this hotel-anchored mixed use will be a win-win for Salt Lake City and all of the neighbors on this project. This is intended to be an upscale luxury tier hotel from a major worldwide brand. Many of these hotels around the world have achieved a 5-star rating. This hotel will have services that will benefit the community, retail shops, a small fresh grocery, art gallery, pool spa, fitness center, bars, and restaurants. Parking spaces will increase over the existing parking lot space count, and we intend to make this available to the public as well. Safety will increase in the neighborhood as the result of 24/7 staff and hotel security. And as far as the application, I don't know that we're applying for 180. We're applying for 225. The current design shows 180 without elevator shafts or equipment on the roof. We don't know what final engineering is going to do to some of this height because of added space on certain floors for mechanical floors. We feel we can maintain it under 225 feet. So I don't know that there's a discrepancy in what we're asking for. We're just stating the current design is 180 just to the parapet wall without any equipment on top. We are not adjacent to Altadena. We are 1 parking lot away. The picture that was shown that's not our parking lot. That's right next to the Altadena. We have done a sunlight study on that, and as far as their garden over their fence, their own fence eclipses their garden before our building does. As far as the perspective of the building, that building was done as a closer up perspective, and it was actually done to correct height in AutoCAD, but I understand that it may not look a certain way. There's no deception in that. It's just the way a 3ds Max rendered that from the perspective our renderer chose. It is a stone's throw away from, literally, I don't know if I could do it now, but in my younger days, I could throw a baseball and I could actually hit the Worthington Tower. If you go and stand on the lot and look at it, it is really close. 335 feet tall, 31 stories tall. The city has also approved, and they have entitlements for the Overland Group to do a 125-foot east of us. And as well, the Planning Commission also approved a similar or a project with similar attributes at 265 East, First South, which the Planning Commission gave a favorable approval. And they're capping theirs at 225 feet. So we find some inconsistencies in the way we've been treated from the Planning Commission and another similar project in a similar area. So we don't understand the rationale of why that project is approved and ours is not.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for the applicant?
I think, and it's not really a question, and I appreciate your comments. I think what's happening, and the Planning Commission is a separate and independent entity, just so you're aware, from the council. But when looking at these reviews, and when we sat down to discuss, regardless of the neighbors, we did just rezone this area. And I think in partial what's happening, and I shared with you, we do have many hotel proposals along 300 South. So I can appreciate that you found it to work in terms of bringing in a hotel and wanting to rezone. I think what I'd like to see, though, is considering other types of upzoning that could work for the hotel. D1 in particular has no side step backs. And regardless if there's a parking lot in between, that development group also is seeking to develop. And I have real concern about there not being any side step backs in this.
When we first made application to this under the RMU zone, there was no side setbacks in that zoning when we first started this application. Because of the narrowness of the property, it will kill this project if we do not have those side setbacks because of our parking constraints. I don't know a way around that.
Okay, I think I'm going to look towards planning staff to see, because in terms of what we're trying to overcome is those protections. That's the biggest concern I have today. Other neighbors have other concern. I will say this, we're trying to meet housing needs. And so this is a similar conversation that I'm seeing in other parts of the city. So I just wanted to recognize that hotel spaces, although they can bring amenities for visitors, those are not shared public spaces. And I will say it doesn't meet the housing density that we need for residents. So that's my statement. I don't know if staff can help us understand the side step back. Let's let staff answer for a sec, please. Thank you.
That is correct, and that can affect the decisions. Is the proposal, one block to the north included housing, and the community benefit there was related to housing. That's, in this proposal, it's purely a hotel.
I think you had a comment now.
The amenities here we intend to make public, so it's not just for the guests of the hotel. Anybody can come into the commercial space on the main floor, and I don't know exactly how it's going to work out in upper floors as well, but we intend to make this part of the community. As far as residential, we have looked at residential hard. For the value of this property and as close it is to downtown, to put in apartments here, we can't make it pencil. I know housing is needed, but in this area, in downtown area, as we've looked at this, there is a lot of vacancy. There is a lot of, and to come in and add more to that and compete with that. But the value of this property to put low-income housing, we don't feel that this is the area to do that. You would have to lower our property taxes quite a bit in order for this to even be considered. And so no matter what's going to happen, I can't foresee anyone building low-income apartments on this place. The options are, is it remains a parking lot, or, we've been trying for 30 years to put something here that Salt Lake City accepts. And I know that nobody, if you went right now today and says, hey, we're going to put a parking lot here and ask the community, there's going to be opposition to that. Mm-hmm. I can guarantee you there's going to be opposition to no matter what we propose. But we have something that we feel that's a win-win for the city, that will be beneficial to the community there. A lot of people are worried about crime and so forth in this neighborhood. This will actually not contribute to that at all. 24/7, attendance with hotel staff and security. The hotel will not put up with crime on its property or harboring as a refuge from crime. I don't know what else to say, but I mean, give us some direction. Give us something viable we can put on here. If we can't put this on here, what can we put on here, that makes money? I mean, that makes even sense.
Councilmember Lopez Chavez, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr.
I have
Chair.
a question too, but go ahead.
No, I appreciate you sharing that. I think there's a few comments that I want to make. One of them is the exploration of housing mixed with your current rendition and current plan is possible. I think two, there are other projects in the city that have attained that have a similar lot size. And I'm happy to connect you with those individuals that have developed them to see if that's supportive, because I understand what you're saying. We don't want to start a surface parking lot. I do want to mention this, that in allowing a D1 zone, the adjacent property is seeking a very similar request. And we're setting ourselves up for precedent as we've already, I just want to make this impetus that we have recently upzoned. It hasn't even been a year since we upzoned this neighborhood. We haven't even allowed for the density to enrich, to bridge that gap yet. And in jumping to D1, what we're doing is destabilizing this neighborhood more. So no one mentioned low-income housing, so I just want to say, when we say housing, it could be market rate, it could be luxury, it could be a mix of a luxury boutique hotel and housing. I'm just stating that my definition of density doesn't mean creating more hotel experiences. It does mean trying to fill that gap of housing. And so I'm happy to sit again, I'm happy to connect, because I know you're trying really hard to resolve this, and I really appreciate you coming through this. I do think there's some steps we can take together to make your plan not just economically feasible, but something that your family can be proud of as well.
We have looked at a lot of the housing options in here. We have talked with many of the people down here. We've done extensive research over the years. This hotel is, one of the intent, and this depends on the hotel brand when it actually comes in, but what they've done in a lot of areas is they've actually turned some of them into condos when they're not, the condo person isn't there, they rent them out as a hotel, but then that hotel person has an exclusive use of that when they come in town, or whoever would want to purchase one of those condo units. We don't know if that's going to happen, but that is a possibility. Adding apartments on top of this, we would have to go even higher in order to be able to have the hotel uses to keep the hotel that we have now. And so, I don't know how we do that with what is, we need the space that we have now. We can't have a smaller hotel and bring this type of a hotel in and make this work. So we have been studying these options. I feel that we're abreast and caught up with what's going on. I don't know that a residential option in this location here is going to happen at this point in time. We can't find the investors for that, people willing to invest in that. Even if it seems viable or natural, I don't know how to make this happen. And I know hooking up with other people, we've been doing that. We're not in a bubble here. We're in contact with many of the developers and many of the apartment owners in the city. And we have been researching this thoroughly. Our first choice was an apartment building. That's what we were going to do. We can't make it work.
I won't presume to know your business better than you do and what work you've put into this, but you did say that your family's had this for some time. I think you said 30 years, and that you're just trying to come to the city, find something that the city will accept. Have you filed other petitions with the city?
My father did years ago. It hasn't been recent. This is.
Do you know what that was for?
What's that?
What was the nature of that petition?
First he wanted to rebuild the apartment building that burnt down.
Okay.
That's a long story, and I don't know if that's pertinent of all the reasons why. That went on for several years, and he kind of gave up. Now that he's older and, us as children have gotten together and figured we need to do something with this. And so here we are. And even though it's been 30 years, you have to realize the family dynamics, and that it was his, and and then as he got older, he kind of gave up and didn't want to fight anymore. And so there was a period of time in the transition. It's not like we've held on this for 30 years and all of a sudden it's become a hot button issue. There's been kind of a change in the family. My father's still alive, but is mostly homebound in a walker, and mostly unable to get out and do things at this point in time. And until us children were enabled to have some decision in this, it was kind of nothing happened.
I see. Yeah, I'm more getting at, I think, similar to what my colleague, Councilmember Lopez Chavez, is saying is, I would love to see this develop too. I don't want any more surface parking lots in downtown, but I think that there are options out there, and I know that if the council member is willing to talk with you about other potential plans for the area, like, I would be interested to hear how those discussions go, because I think if there, I would be interested to know what other things that you've explored in addition to this. Councilmember Lopez Chavez, go ahead.
Thanks, unless someone else has a comment.
I don't see anybody else. Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
If in the future we seek a direction to upzone, because we do see that there is friction with MU8 or MU11 zoning or whatever zoning request there might be in the future, I think D1 has been reserved in the downtown specifically for housing. So when I say housing, it's not hotel amenities, it's not temporary placements for visitors. It is very specifically to the residential experience and permanency. So I would love for you to explore that and to come back to us. At this point, I want to be very clear that a hotel does not meet the needs. And we have experienced a huge housing gap, both in Utah and in the city. So at this point, I cannot support this, but I can appreciate the time and the tenaciousness that you and your family have had, because I've really appreciated getting to know you and your family and this parcel. I really just want to express that the D1 zoning, in particular, when we upzone, it's not just coming up with conducive public benefits, it's meeting that need. And we can't redirect that utilization. That's a tool for us, and we can't redirect it to meet the purpose of just developing on it. And so at this point, I cannot support it, but like I said before, I'm happy to dig in with you and help as much as I can support this project. I have a few ideas, but I also recognize that you've put 30 years of thinking, of developing, of partners, however you've written up your pro forma and structured it. At the same time, this is a lever that we have to use conditionally to meet those needs and goals of our city. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, if there are no other questions or comments on this, then we'll go ahead and move on to the next item. Thank you.
Thank you.
Which is a report on the annual water and snowpack for 2026. And so for this, we have Laura Briefer, Director of Public Utilities. Oh, and a bunch of other folks. Sorry, I don't have everybody's name here. Okay, yes, thank you. I know Jesse.
Tamara. I'll introduce everybody.
Okay, yeah, please do.
This is the Water Resources and Hydrology team here. A lot of expertise. So if you don't know Tamara Prue, she's our Water Resources Manager, also very involved in our water rights adjudication and administration. and then you know Jesse Stewart.
course.
And then John Wells is our hydrologist and has the job that I want. Because he gets to go test snowpack. Dig some snow picks, yeah. And we have a presentation here for you, and John put this together. There's a lot of really good kind of technical information in here about how we determine our annual water supplies. And we always come to you about this time of year because the water year, which is different than the fiscal year and the calendar year, starts on April 1st. So we're right around the corner from there. So next slide, please. Just a reminder where we provide drinking water to nearly 400,000 people, not only in Salt Lake City, but outside of our city along the East Bench of Salt Lake County, portions of Mill Creek, Holiday, Cottonwood Heights, South Salt Lake, Murray, and Midvale. And then, of course, our other water utilities are limited to Salt Lake City boundaries. Next slide, please. So just high level, how we determine our water supply. We have a lot of collaboration with other entities, federal, state, local, non-governmental, and academic partners. We spend all winter long tracking what's coming from the sky and sticking on the ground. And you see some photos here. These are some of our monitoring stations up in the mountains. And what it looks like in the field when you're taking notes at those monitoring stations. We're also monitoring larger scale drought conditions, key reservoir levels, and of course, Great Salt Lake. Next slide, please. So just high level overview. It's probably no surprise, it's been in the news a lot, but our snowpack is dismal this year. We have been in a snow drought, and it is probably about sitting around 60% of the median at this point in the season. And that's caused Salt Lake County as a whole to be primarily in moderate drought conditions, with some parts of it abnormally dry, which is just one level lower. The good news about our water supply is that our soil moistures are really good because we did get precipitation, just not snow. We received more precipitation as rain. It's kept those soils moist, which means that we'll have a more efficient runoff of the snowpack that we do have. And then thankfully, fortunately, the city a long time ago invested in reservoir storage, particularly with our federal water projects, the Provo River Project and the Central Utah Project. And our Deer Creek Reservoir looks healthy and will likely fill this year. And I'll just say, though, that's good. Those reservoirs are meant to last us year-over-year drought. So we also want to be really judicious about how we use the water that's stored in those large storage areas. Next slide, please. So this is an example of what we look at on a regular basis that we track throughout the season. The amount of water that is stored in the snow, also called the snow water equivalent, or SWE. And this year, that snow water equivalent is sitting around 60% of normal. And that's what you see on this graph is a map of the range of where snow water equivalent has been over different years. And where we sit is kind of at that very lower end of that range this year.
Punch the monkey. All of us right now.
We wanted to add a little bit of lightness. It's actually my dream that I come to you giving you a forecast that, first of all, we have plenty of water. We're not in a drought. We've fixed all of our aging infrastructure, and we're not raising rates.
Laura was smart enough to bring in our media team to lighten it up a little bit because the stuff I put together is pretty dry, but she put a couple slides.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it just brings up all the trauma that Punchy has been through, but go ahead.
Yeah, that's true too. All right, next slide, please. This is another way we look at our forecasted water from snowpack as it runs down the streams where we collect our drinking water sources. And just a reminder, our major creeks where we receive drinking water are City Creek, the Parley's watershed, which includes Parley's Creek, Lambs Creek, and Dell Creek, Big Cottonwood Creek, and Little Cottonwood Creek. We also have water rights in Red Butte Creek, Mill Creek, and it's not shown on here, but Emigration Creek, and those water rights are used for other purposes, not in the drinking water system, but for water supply as well. So you can just see the percent average of stream flow projected this year ranges from 29% in Parley's Creek to 76% in Little Cottonwood Creek. Next slide, please. There's been a lot said about the weather this winter. We've had a record winter in terms of how warm it's been, which has been one of the drivers of the types of precipitation that we've seen, and the low snowpack really was a driver of our snow drought this year. The snow drought at the airport ended in mid-February, actually after a record-breaking 11 months. And the graphs that you see here are just one of the ways in which we monitor temperature as compared to other years. And the black line is on these graphs is what this year has brought us compared to other years. And you can see the red area is the lowest temperature, and the blue area, or no, I have that right? Yes.
If you look at the black line, that's us, and the purple line is the highest on record. So we broke the record several times this year.
Yeah. Next slide, please. We also look at our forecasts, and both monthly, the forecast for the next month, and then we also use a product from the Weather Service, around a 3-month weather outlook. And the weather outlook for the next 3 months trends is leaning toward higher than normal temperatures over the next few months and leaning towards lower precipitation over the next few months. So that kind of factors into how we look at our water supply as well. Next slide, please. And then this is the one bright spot for us, soil moisture at different depths. You can see are actually above average, both at 8 inches and 20 inches, which will should result in a more efficient runoff of the water that we do have. Next slide, please. And then our key reservoir levels will be ending up close to normal levels, which is good news, particularly Deer Creek Reservoir. And then a lot of people don't realize, but the levels of Utah Lake are really important for us too. Utah Lake is not a drinking water source for us, but Utah Lake levels govern, in some part, the access we have to the water storage at the upper reservoirs, such as Deer Creek. Next slide, please. And then finally, we are tracking Great Salt Lake levels. The record low for Great Salt Lake was an elevation of 4188.5 in 2022, and we all remember that record low. We are currently at 4192.1, which is 1 foot lower than we were last year. And so Great Salt Lake is also seeing the impact of the snow drought and temperature increases.
So we have a new low, you're saying?
No, not quite yet.
I'm sorry,
the record
I
low,
misunderstood then.
We have
I
a
thought
few
you were-
feet before
okay.
the new low, and we don't want to get there again. And, taking all of these things, our water supplies and Great Salt Lake, we will be asking people to conserve this year. Next slide, please. I think this is our last slide, but it's just an impressive list. And there's some that aren't on this list, such as Utah State University, but an impressive list of partners that we have in forecasting our water supplies and monitoring where we're at. Federal partners, state partners, Salt Lake County partners, and our academic partners. So I want to give John and Tamara and Jesse a lot of kudos for how closely they monitor and keep us all updated on this. And that's the end of our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Councilmember Dugan.
Thanks, Laura. Thanks for the presentation. And thanks for the conversation we had about a month ago on the same subject. And we're in a pretty good shape of breaking the record of 88 feet because we're already a foot below with less snowpack. But we do have the moisture contact, which helps us out from that year prior to that low. But I'm not taking any bets on not breaking that record, even if we just get close to it. And we've had the conversation about, we may, and I'm going to not use the word may, I think we must conserve across the board, not just from the residents, but across the non-resident, the bigger users. And I'm really pointing my finger at the University of Utah and the religious institutes. They have a lot of green space, and is there discussions, or how do we incentivize them to going to the drought tolerance grass? It really does wonders. I think it saves a lot of water right there. Now it's not going to change maybe but an inch in the Great Salt Lake, but it's setting the tone for the residents.
Yeah.
How's that conversation going, or have we had it? Do we need to have it? How do we incentivize them to stop watering?
We are having those conversations with our institutional customers, and we will be having more of those. Some of those conversations have happened over the course of the last year with our new rate structures. There was a strong conservation message with those rate structures, and we did hear from many of those institutional customers. We are also looking at a drought, a stage recommendation in our water shortage contingency plan this year that would actually require government and institutional customers to reduce their water use by a certain amount, both indoor and outdoor watering. And I also want to take a minute to say, with respect to Great Salt Lake, the most important conservation we can do right now is to reduce our outdoor watering, because outdoor watering, due to evaporation, removes water from this watershed. And we have a lot of opportunity in all of our customer classes, from residential to multifamily to institutional to industrial and commercial, to greatly reduce outdoor watering. One of the challenges is finding the right people to talk to who are managing the irrigation systems for some of these larger outdoor water users. You can still have turf, but maybe not water it as much. Some of these areas we've seen through some of our investigations, we've seen watering that is well over what the landscape needs. So there's quite a lot of opportunity for those customers to conserve. And that's messaging we will be putting out there.
And when you talk to stages, can you modify the stages to say that, okay, it's more of a volunteer at, say, the residential level, but it's mandatory at the commercial and above level, and just say, sorry, no outdoor watering for you?
Yes, and that is outlined in our drought contingency or water shortage contingency plan. We have 5 stages, and to meet different stages, we have to meet certain thresholds in terms of our water supplies. And so stage 1 is voluntary across the board, where we are basically saying, just encouraging people to reduce water. And that's actually been quite effective with a good communications and engagement program. Stage 2 is one step further, where it puts the requirement on, it's still voluntary for all users except for government and institutional types of users. So like Salt Lake City would be subject to stage 2 restrictions, as would be like the state capital or state properties.
But on that, on the, you said we have to meet certain thresholds, and what I'm trying to push for is not so much that we meet the threshold on March 10th, 2026, but we know we're going to meet that threshold on August 10th, 2026. And so instead of waiting till August 10th to meet the threshold, let's think ahead and say, let's set the standard now, because I don't want to have to meet that threshold, because the pain is going to be so much worse then than it is now. And I'm just trying to set that, also that intention for the rest of the state and the water users, that at Great Salt Lake, we can't wait to the threshold, we hit the threshold. Because what I would say in the flying terminology, if you're now behind the power curve, you're going to hit the ramp and you're going to kill yourself. And it's not good. So you need to make the correction before you get to the point where the correction is, there's no correction.
That's right. And that's what we're trying to do with the stage 2, is be ahead of that curve, based on what we're seeing right now. And we have in the past increased our stages. We've actually never been stage 3 on our system. We haven't gone that far yet on our stages.
And I mean, I think you've done a wonderful job of managing that. I just don't think the rain gods are helping us out here, and we need to be a little push harder. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
There's also, I should just point out, there's city ordinance under Title 17 that sets a threshold related to commercial and industrial use. And so we do have sort of in ordinance a threshold there that might be worth looking at.
Yeah, and so you're not going to, you can have a friend if you want to do it earlier than later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Petro and then Councilmember Lopez Chavez.
Hi, and I want to thank your team for all of the great work you did during legislative session when water policy was so front and center, and I really appreciate you all taking care of not just us and the people you serve, but literally the whole state. So thank you for that. If we are successful with our conservation, or let's say when, because I'm gonna manifest that we're successful. Do we anticipate this will create a budgetary shortfall that we should be prepared to have to address in the next budgetary season?
In this year's budget, we are anticipating conservation in our revenue projections, so hopefully that doesn't happen. But it is true that we have a pretty bad business model in, that we want conservation, but we badly need the revenues to take care of our aging infrastructure and meet our regulatory compliance. So the budget that we've prepared conservatively addresses conservation projections, and because of that, we may not be doing as much as we would like to be doing.
Okay, I'm happy to do whatever groundwork we need to do. I mean, in my neighborhood, there's 2 dimensions to survivability. First of all is making sure there's water available to sustain basic life function. And then the second will be making sure that they can continue to pay their bill once we've survived that first one. So anything I can do to be of assistance there. And for council staff that's tracking, I'm going to add myself to Dan as the second council person who is willing to be aggressive with whatever ordinance we need to be proactive and protective on this.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for the support.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to the public utilities staff for putting this presentation together. My question was related to the Colorado Compact. It expired on February 15th, 2026. My understanding is that we don't have an agreement in place and that the lower basin and upper basin states are still coordinating and need to take action. I want to understand how that may affect our reservoirs as well as our water rights and how we utilize them in our city. Can you help explain how that might affect us?
So Salt Lake City, through our wholesale provider, Metropolitan Water District, has access to Central Utah Project water, which that water is from a tributary of the Colorado River. So that is part of the Colorado River discussion. It is an important source of water for us in terms of kind of having in the past for a reliable water supply. And I think, I want to say we have access to 20,000 acre feet of, is that right? Of Central Utah Project water. And we're not at the negotiating table for this discussion. That's being handled at a state level with all of the different states. But it is something that we're paying close attention to because, and we don't have an idea yet of what those outcomes are going to be. So if there's an outcome where there are mandatory cuts in the upper basin, there is a potential that Salt Lake City would be affected by those cuts, but we really don't know by how much. Because of that, we are conservative in our water supply and demand planning and in our conservation projections.
Thank you for explaining that. I've had the privilege of having conversations with senators from the lower basin states federally, and I know since we're headed to DC, I just wanted to mention that if there's any information we can take with us to share with our congressional delegation, that's something I think about often, is not just that our reservoirs are coming in under, they're about a little bit over halfway full. I do worry about how, if and when the Colorado Compact, now that it's expired, if it will be renewed, and what those circumstances might cause for our residential and industrial intake.
That's great, and I'm glad to hear you'll be visiting with the delegation. I will also be out there in April, so it would be great to coordinate on a list of things that I think would be important for our delegation to know, including water supplies, but also infrastructure and those types of things.
Yeah, I'd love that. I don't know if we've already reached out as staff to get that, but I'd love to coordinate that before we leave.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We are a little behind, so we're going to move on from this, but thank you very much for all your great work getting us through the legislative session. And count me as council member number 3 to help get the word out and be concerned about this. It was a terribly unnerving winter. All right. Thank you.
A really good way of putting it. Thank you.
Just like, oh, it's so pleasant, and yet I'm terrified.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna skip, or we're gonna change the order and do Citizens Compensation Advisory Committee after our board appointments. So we'll go instead to our board appointment for first board appointment for the airport board. Jonathan Garner, is he here? And we're gonna go to Lisa Ramsey Adams instead while we try to connect with Jonathan. Former council member. Great to have you. Yeah. It's great to have you back. Not that you need to, but please tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in serving on the airport board, please.
Served on the council when we were working to get the new airport going, and that was absolutely fascinating to me. And I kept telling James Rogers that I should be the one on the board just because the airport was in his district. Didn't mean anything. He could have some of my golf courses.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can. It says push and speak. Sorry. I can re-say that if you need me to.
I think we're okay.
Anyway, I've been really fascinated by that. I also, my background is I'm an attorney by training, and I'm a mom by practice, and a volunteer by nature. So kind of have done a lot of things over the years, worked with children in difficult divorces, and I have been very involved in education issues over the years. Always lived in Salt Lake for the most part, except for a brief stint in London and a brief stint in New York. And I am really interested in the airport board because I have 4 traitorous children who all have moved away from Salt Lake, therefore meaning they have our grandchildren with them. I don't care that much about the kids, but the grandchildren, that matters. So fortunately, I'm in a position that I travel a lot to see them, and I try to not go more than 60 days without seeing them. So I am in and out of a lot of airports all around the country, in San Diego and Chicago, LaGuardia, JFK, Newark. And so I pay close attention to what airports look like, how things are running, what is a disaster, what is working well. And I've really watched as our airport has developed and things coming online, and I heard so many complaints from people about the long haul to Southwest, and it's like, be patient, and I'm not in charge, but I did know this was coming. So that's really held an interest for me. As far as things I like to do, when there's snow, I love to ski. Have not made it one time this season yet. I love to read, love to do things with our family, with friends, and I love being part of Salt Lake.
Great. Thank you.
Sure.
Anyone have any questions for Lisa? No? Yeah, thank you so much. I think you'll be a great representative for the city with all of your experience having been on the council and your personal travel experiences. So thank you so much for being willing to serve us again in Salt Lake, for being willing to serve Salt Lake City again in this new capacity. We're glad to have you. As you know, we'll put your name on the consent agenda for tonight at our formal meeting, and you need not be present to win. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm leaving town tomorrow, so.
Oh, well, yeah, you better get home and get packed.
So, yeah.
Yeah, excellent.
But I'm going to my first meeting tomorrow, so before I leave town.
Oh, perfect.
So that will
Okay.
work out well.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much. We appreciate you.
And you're so welcome, and I'm looking forward to it. I have to say, I was worried because the lawyer in me was counting, and I was like, you don't have a quorum, you don't have a quorum. And then I heard people from the heavens speaking. That's a whole new thing that we did not have those 8 years ago when I was on the council. So thank you again. Thanks for the opportunity to serve, and thank you for your service. I have a little bit of an idea what that takes, and thank your significant others for making it work. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, do we have Jonathan? Okay. Okay, then, yeah, in another switch up, we're gonna go to CCAC now. And then, yeah, if Jonathan joins us, we'll take that after this presentation. So, this is the annual report for the Citizens Compensation Advisory Committee. We've got Dave Buchanan, Chief Human Resources Officer, Mike Jensen, Senior Compensation Analyst, and Claire Baldwin, Committee Chair. Oh, wait, and someone else.
Michael Jensen.
Sorry.
Claire Baldwin.
Okay, Okay, great. Excellent. Glad to have you both. All right, take it away.
Okay. Can we start the slides, please? Good evening. My name is Claire Baldwin. I currently serve as the chair of the Citizens Compensation Advisory Committee, also known as the CCAC. It's comprised of myself, Leandro Tain, who is vice chair, Brandon Dew, Tia Larson, Casey Lund, Mike Terry, and David Warnock. We acknowledge and thank outgoing members, Jana Bake and Jeff Worthington. We thank you for the opportunity to present our report for 2026. We thank the Department of Human Resources for their assistance in gathering and compiling data analyzed and considered in our recommendations. We understand and appreciate the complexities the city must consider in making fiscal decisions from year to year. That being said, the CCAC is charged with making independent recommendations based solely on statistics and trends in the current labor market. Per city code, the CCAC was formed for the purpose of evaluating the total compensation levels of the city's elected officials, executives, and employees in making recommendations to the Human Resources Department, Mayor, and the City Council. Each year, the committee prepares and submits a written report to the Mayor and City Council to include recommendations for the city to remain competitive in compensation practices of comparable employers. This includes all city employees, officials, and executives. We also provide city officials with the most valuable and relevant information to include salary budget forecasts and local area market wage analysis for benchmark jobs differentiated by each one of the city's 3 primary employee groups. They include the non-represented employees, ASKME, and public safety, which includes firefighters and police officers. If we can go to the section 1 slide, please. Yeah, that's good. Go one more slide. The charts that we use this year include those from several different groups, which I'll get into in just a minute. Currently, economic uncertainty is pushing employers to keep pay increases flat. The state labor market is cooling with an uptick in unemployment and 1% year-over-year job growth. Employers are in a low hiring, low firing mode, and they are retaining labor. Within Utah and beyond, organizations are pulling back on salary increases due to economic uncertainty. 2025 and 26 data show organizations adopting a conservative and consistent approach. We are not seeing dramatic salary budget swings like we have in the past few years. On the charts, we use data from salary.com and World at Work. They show trends of total salary increases of 3.5%. And if you want to look at the details of each report, I'll leave that to you, but that boils down to what the information provides is that 3.5. Factors including state, industry, and organization size indicate employers in Salt Lake City labor market are likely to see the same 3.5% increase. Considering the impact on need for salary structure and adjustments, a 2.5% median increase is projected. Our recommendation to this point for Section 1 is this. Considering the impact of current market conditions, including labor shortages, increased cost of labor, and inflation on employer salary budgets in 2026, the committee recommends leaders increase the city's overall salary budget by no less than 3.5%. In conjunction with the city's plans to grant actual general and/or merit increases, the committee recommends an overall increase to the structure of the city's salary ranges of no less than 2.5%. Okay, can we move to Section 2, please? Effectively attracting and retaining key talent depends on sound pay structure administration, competitive base wage and salary rates, and the city's ability to adapt to market conditions. The committee reviewed market pay data from multiple locally based private or public employers with operations along the Wasatch Front. This approach reflects historical recruitment data showing the city primarily draws talent locally and competes with other Wasatch Front employers. This information was compiled and presented to the committee by the city's human resource staff, primarily Michael Jensen, who helped us immensely. The city organized, if we can go to the next slide, please. Good. The city organized 88 benchmark groups from its 1,074 active jobs, which is roughly 8% of jobs. The committee reviewed job pricing information obtained for each of the 88 benchmark job titles highlighted in this report. In total, these benchmarks cover 1,546 employees, which represents 43.5% of the city's regular full-time workforce. If market pay data indicates a particular benchmark job is significantly below market, then all levels of the job should be reviewed for potential pay adjustments, not just the benchmark job. This way, the pay differences between levels of the same or similar jobs are appropriately maintained. The analysis displayed in 3 separate work groups. This is done not only to account for the differences in each group's unique wage structure and pay practices, but to also gauge the city's success more effectively at positioning itself as a pay leader. Once again, these 3 groups are the non-represented employees, ASKME, public safety, which includes firefighters and police officers. The committee follows the guidelines listed when determining an individual benchmark jobs compensation position relative to the market. There are 4 categories used. Significantly lagging is when the data indicates the benchmark jobs position relative to the market is less than or equal to 90%. Slightly lagging is when the benchmark jobs position is between 90.1 and 98%. Competitive is when the data indicates the benchmark jobs position is between 98.1 and 109.9%. Significantly leading is when the benchmark job is greater than 110% based on the market. The first chart that you see, you'll see the red, yellow, white, and green. That indicates which group is which. There were 42 benchmarks used in the non-represented group, representing 213 employees, which is 48% of the total jobs surveyed. Market pay rates were calculated as the 50th percentile, and they were aged out to July 1 of 2026. They were compared to current actual median wages and salaries. The chart you see reflects those benchmark jobs, with the red being significantly lagging, yellow slightly, white competitive, and green significantly leading. Let's go to the next slide. As you can see, there's only 2 jobs in the non-represented that were red and very few in the yellow. Most jobs are in the competitive range with a few in the green. The next 2 groups, let's go, ASKME begins this one. If you can go to the next slide, please. The next 2 groups, pay packages, are negotiated per MOU. Actually, there would be 3 groups because of fire and police being separate. Only one of those groups is currently being negotiated, which is ASKME. And the ways that we came up with the chart is the same. Even though there are MOUs, and to a large extent, these MOUs are the labor in each group determines the salary structure within each group. That being said, the committee believes it's important to evaluate benchmark jobs using similar criteria in compiling our report. So with ASKME, there's 37 benchmark jobs, 411 employees. 42% of the total jobs were surveyed, and the pay rates were compared to the Salt Lake City wage schedule for top rate as negotiated for fiscal year 26. The charts used for ASME do follow the same format as those used for the non-represented group. As we understand it, ASME is the only group that is currently in negotiations for this current year. And police and fire, I believe, fire's next year and police the following. Okay, let's go to the next group, please. Good, okay. As stated in resolution number 20, it's in Appendix E in the report, as passed in June of 2023 by the City Council, the policy objective is to ensure that the city's firefighters and police officers are paid wages commensurate with or close to top of the market wages paid by public entities for such occupations in the state of Utah, especially among the state's largest public safety agencies. With the committee's desire to be consistent year over year with certain criteria for comparison, while striving to follow the intent of the resolution, the committee has again decided that the primary focus should be comparison to the highest rate of pay found among the largest agencies in Utah. The threshold established on what constitutes a large agency was set at 90 or more full-time sworn employees for either fire or police. The agencies that participated in the custom salary survey and met this threshold are included in the salary survey chart shown. As you can see in the report, there are a few differences between 25 and 26. Some are based on size change of agency, some are based on that they did not participate. Let's go to the next slide, please. Okay. For police and fire, a total of 9 benchmark jobs were used. They covered 922 employees, about 10% of the total jobs surveyed for the public safety work group. The market comparison for each job for both entry rate and top rate breakouts is illustrated, utilizing the same comparison guidelines as was used for the other work groups. Our recommendations for Section 2 are as follows. The committee continues to express its support for the city's compensation strategy to position Salt Lake City as an area pay leader for employees. The committee has long recognized that Salt Lake City employees deal with a volume of diverse situations and problems not seen by most other municipal entities in the state. Therefore, as the capital city, it is in the city's best interest to attract the most capable employees to all positions and to encourage them to stay. The committee believes that compensation should be an important factor in this equation and that this policy will prove beneficial to the city's citizens in the future. Furthermore, as funds permit, the committee recommends the mayor and the city council appropriate financial resources to grant market salary adjustments for employees in the benchmark groups identified in this report as lagging market, with priority being given to those that are significantly lagging, and secondly, to those that are lagging slightly. This concludes my presentation of the synopsis of our report. I know there's a lot of information in there, and there may be questions, and we're open for any questions at this point.
All right, thank you for that. Any questions, council members? Councilmember Young.
Thank you. And thank you for doing this important work. It really makes such a difference to be able to have an advisory board be able to provide this unique insight related to how we're compensating our employees. So I'm just very grateful that you volunteer for this opportunity to help us and to help the city in those next steps. A couple of pieces that I would just like to highlight in the great information you've provided. So the comprehensive recommendation is for 3.5 million total increase in budget line, with then an additional, like with a baseline of a 2.5% for all employees. And then on top of that, it's also the market rate, or that 3.5 includes addressing those highlighted in red?
Okay, just addressing it is a 3.5% total. The 2.5%, if you look within the salary structure, especially in the non-represented group, there is a median job, and it is adjusting inside those pay differentials within the Salt Lake City structure of 2.5% in those structures. Is that, you want to weigh in at all?
Yeah, so 3.5% to salary for actual base wage.
Okay.
Multiple forms that could be administered through general increases, merit pay increases, and then the 2.5% was to the structure or the salary ranges. So as Claire was mentioning, for our non-represented, there's a salary range designated for each job. The recommendation is to adjust that salary range by 2.5%.
Okay.
So our
that's
guidelines
helpful.
on how to compensate our employees.
If we look historically, there are many in the non-represented group. I'm a former employee.
Yes.
I was with the fire department. But in the non-represented group, at times they felt like that there was no way for them to get beyond midpoint in the salary structure. And so the idea was to adjust those structures by that 2.5%.
Yeah, that's super helpful. Okay, thank you for the additional clarification. And then, oh, I'm sorry, can I have
keep
more?
going. Go ahead.
Okay. So I think it's important to note, it looks like the state is doing 2.5%. And so to me, like, that is the ultimate floor in terms of, what's possible related to where we are. And I appreciate that we have a lot of hardworking employees and that we want to be thoughtful with taxpayer dollars. But I also appreciate that those individuals live in the city and they're facing the same economic challenges that so many of our residents are as well. So it's a balance. The other one I just wanted to double check in on. So I saw the entry level wages related to both fire and police were noted in the red, being, noted as significantly below. And I know that that's been an area that has been a part of the conversations as we've been negotiating with the various union leaders over the last couple of years. I was really hopeful we'd make more progress in that space, and it doesn't look like we have. Are there any insights related to that?
If we look at one of the jobs specifically, it is actually is in a category that it mentions firefighter engineer, okay. and we don't have, typically we don't have firefighters in there until they've served at least 2 years that can even serve as an engineer.
Got it.
So what we need to focus on more is the entry level pay in general for firefighter. Now, as far as, and that's why the caveat of the MOU. So these are determined by the labor organizations in their negotiations, and quite often they're focusing on those that have been around. They're looking at a lot of things that we as a committee don't have any control over. We can only identify the information that it shows that they're still lagging. Yeah. And then, of course, the MOU is up to the city and those labor groups.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, I know I will speak for myself in this space. One of the best ways that we attract really great people into these lines of service is by being competitive, like right from the get-go.
Right.
And sometimes, it's hard for those who are early in their career to see the value over time. And so I hope that's something that we just continue to work on in terms of our ability to attract that top talent here to the capital city.
Can I just one thing I know that if we go back 7 years to the time I retired, we were at the top, and we were having many people come to Salt Lake City to be firefighters because we were significantly above everybody else. This becomes a chasing your tail to a degree. So I think that's something that as a committee we're aware of, but once again, we can only identify the information. But as far as the negotiations go, there are problems with always trying to be the number one. And we realize that as a committee. That's why we had that caveat that all of our recommendations are based on statistics, not on emotion.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Councilmember Carlson?
Yes, thank you for presenting this study. In this, I have low network bandwidth. Can you hear me okay?
We can, but you've broken up a little bit, so maybe you want to turn your camera off while you ask your question.
Okay, I'll try that. I see a lot of salary comparison and benchmarking as it relates to market salaries and comparisons. What insight or further information can you provide related to total rewards compensation as we think about health benefits and other compensation that it relates to an employee's employment? Hopefully that got through.
Yeah, maybe let me just answer. This year, we actually introduced a total rewards package that both employees and potential candidates can view. And so it takes into consideration not only their base wages, but their vacation, their retirement, all of that makes up your total rewards. We think that it's a great question because that's more than, or that total rewards is more than just what they get on an hourly basis. And so we have been working towards using that more in recruitment to bring in people. We would look at that base wage, but sometimes that's offset by the retirement package they get or the 401k and the other benefits. So we do utilize that quite a bit, and we're going to push more and more towards that. Having said that, we're also seeing healthcare costs increase dramatically, and so the city has to be prudent in how it approaches the total rewards package, understanding that there's going to be additional costs there this year too. So we look at that entire package.
Thank you for that.
Okay, any other questions? Right, thank you so much for all that hard work and information. We appreciate it. Good to see you all. All right, we have our last board appointment, who is here with us, Jonathan Gardner. So, Jonathan, thank you for being here and for your willingness to serve in this position. This is your opportunity to tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in serving on the airport board.
Okay, thank you. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. First of all, I apologize that I missed the 5:50 time slot. It's embarrassing.
You're fine.
I was racing to get home, and it's always a fun time in that 5 o'clock hour. So
that's okay. We're
anyway,
running behind schedule, so you're actually on time.
Thank you. I have known a few people that have been on the board, so I've been aware of some of the things they've been involved with and understand more that it's an advisory role, not necessarily one of great authority, but more informational. And I think that from my background, where I've been involved with a lot of different real estate investments and other what we'll call alternative investments, Salt Lake City is a major thoroughfare for a lot of different companies that come in and out, and the airport's the first point of contact. And so I'm clearly interested to see that, or to hear, where the airport may go. How do we keep it at the top of the nation? I was involved early on with Big D Construction when they won the general contractor to help build it out. And so it's been an intriguing part of, the last 10 plus years. But I'm a Salt Lake City native. I am a diamond medallion on Delta, so I'm in and out of that airport quite often. I think it's a wonderful airport, and if there's anything that I can add as a citizen or on an advisory committee, that might be able to make this even better or just offer input, I welcome the opportunity. So I think you're looking for some information about me. I do live in Salt Lake City. I'm up in the kind of the Eastern Sugar House area. My children go to Highland High School. I have 5 children, and I run a business called Acilia Investments, and we invest in real estate and other alternative investments, and we have a big interest in the Salt Lake City market. We've played a lot in all of the kind of major food groups of real estate, from multifamily to retail, hospitality. We are the largest affordable housing builder in the state. We built nearly 900 units on North Temple, which has also been a bit of a feeding ground for some of the employment at the airport. So we have a big interest in Salt Lake City. The airport's a major part of kind of who we are. And I'm excited for an opportunity to serve with, the other committee members and offer any insight that I might be able to.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have any questions for Jonathan?
I just appreciate your volunteering to the advisory board, and appreciate all your insights from your travels, but also just from your business side of the house. So appreciate that. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just say that the board, might not have a lot of actual authority, but it is a very important board, and one that definitely has, I think, a lot of influence. And so we'll be really glad to have you and your experience join that group. We will place your name on our consent agenda for adoption at our formal meeting tonight. You need not be present to win, but you're welcome to join if you'd like virtually. That starts at 7 o'clock. But otherwise, you're all set. And thank you so much for your willingness to serve Salt Lake City.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I look forward to it.
Thank you. Okay, council members, that is our last agenda item for the work session. Oh, no, it isn't. We have announcements.
Unless the chair or vice chair have anything that they want to chime in with, I'll go to announcements. The first announcement is just a notice that the chamber is hosting a one-time gala in place of the giant In Our City event that they usually do. It's called the Under One Sky 2026 Awards Gala. It takes place on Thursday, May 21st from 6 to 9 at the Grand America. There is a scheduled work session for that day, and by that point in the budget, we may actually need that day. But we can work with our team to make sure everything's wrapped up by 5 if a majority of the council is interested in going to that event. So let us know if you're interested. Yep.
I would be interested. Yeah.
Then the next item is we're asking for approval of the attached letter that would add support for Representative Moore at the federal level to add support for police department funding. We've confirmed that it does not include armored vehicles, but it would help with the department to transport people in sort of large gathering situations. So if you want to take a look through the letter and let us know what you think, I think they're hopeful to get unanimous council support. And we can figure out a way to get it electronically to the folks that are online. So I'll do that.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. We'll go ahead and adjourn the work session and reconvene at 7 o'clock for our formal meeting. Thank you.